Hello everyone and welcome to Murphy's Law Garage. Today we talk about how the replacement for the recalled Harbor Freight jack stands is also failing and may very well harm you or a loved one. Stick around to find out why.
Dang it.
As many of you are aware of and familiar with, especially from our previous video that has more than 200,000 views, this is the infamous recalled Harbor Freight jack stand. All right? Harbor Freight, if you're lucky enough to get one of these units, if they aren't missing already, Harbor Freight's going to give you one of these, either that or a store credit. This Harbor Freight jack stand is also failing. Let me explain to you why. All right, I've got y'all loose off the tripod now. So here is again the replacement Harbor Freight jack stand. This is the 6-ton unit. The failure that you saw in the thumbnail and people are experiencing are because of this seam in the side of the jack stand. Let me move this out of the way. The seam right here, as you can see, is open on this end, but welded on the inside. Can we see this? Now, what's happening is these stands are physically splitting here, what's called a zipper failure. And that's because whenever you weld two pieces of metal together, especially two very low quality pieces of metal, and those pieces of metal have possibly been welded too hot or too cold, the metal around the outside the weld, which would be visible here, the metal on either side of the weld becomes embrittled. And the stand, the way that it's shaped, you can see here that we have a support. We have a support, but we have no support. And we have no support in probably the most important place on this stand, because a lot of the tension on this stand travels down, all of it travels down both of these legs. And without a support here, there's a tremendous amount of force put on this seam that Harbor Freight ever so conveniently covered with a sticker. So I went around to here and I peeled said sticker off so that y'all could see what was hidden under here. Now I'm going to show you that picture again of how the zipper failure occurred. Now, the question is this a manufacturing defect or is it a low volume problem? And the answer is no. So it's not a low volume problem, this is a design failure. And because of the way these cheaper stands are built where there's a split down here, it only takes for the robot that's welding it or the human that's welding it for there to be something very little wrong for this to fail. Whereas when you look at a high quality stand like this US Jack stand, which by the way, US Jack is the only American made manufacturer of jacks and jack stands left. This jack stand here is using a very high quality piece of angle iron that has also then been captured 360 degrees around the stand. It cannot get away. This cannot fail. The stress on this jack that would have it spreading open is being captured by a piece of steel. And you don't have that here with this zipper failure. And it's not as if the old stands weren't built that way as well. The old stands still have a seam down the middle, and in fact, their welds are even worse than the other one. So let me ask you this, people. These stands failed, these failed, and were recalled because they're mousetraps and they'll kill you. These replace them, fixing the manufacturing defect in the casting to make it much more difficult for the stand to kill you by collapsing the pawl mechanism. But now we've got a seam, a zipper failure happening in the weld because of a engineering mistake. There should not be there should be a support here. This shouldn't be left open in a place where you're very much relying on that weld to be strong. I ask you this. Do you really want to go back to Harbor Freight again? I'm not telling you what to do, you're all grown adults. But you really want to go back to Harbor Freight again and get a jack stand that the next time it's recalled could fail and harm you? Or do you want to just buy something American made, get it over with now? Yeah, it's going to be more expensive than the Harbor Freight jack stand, but at least these jack stands you could give to your kids and your kids could give to your kids, and they will continue to work. Something that's interesting here, the way that this ratcheting mechanism is designed on these new stands is very much done so for how cheaply it can be produced. You've got a single pawl mechanism, you've got this big gargantuan lever that is very easy to kick, to bump, that could in the end result in it accidentally being bumped and having a collapse, right? Then you have a stand like this, where there was, of course, some attention to how much this jack stand would cost. You're not going to build it out of titanium. But this jack stand here has a double pawl, has 2 teeth coming into the anvil. And this jack stand physically cannot be released. You can't do it. This jack stand cannot be released until the weight on the anvil, even when there's nothing on it, can't do it until you lift the anvil and then back this mechanism out. Even more so, rather than having this big bulbous protrusion for the lever that could get hung up on something, now we've got a round lever and it's captured. You can't hang up a shoelace or tool or anything on this, and because it's round, things that strike it will have a tendency to walk away from it. Now, US Jack sent us these jack stands. US Jack also gave us a coupon code. Coupon code is, go to usjack.com, go all the way down to the bottom. You're going to go to the online store. It's a blue icon, I believe. When you get into the store, find the jacks and jack stands that you want, and then you're going to type in MLG 15 off, MLG 150FF into the coupon code. And please, just stop trying to save a few pennies. Go buy yourself an American-made jack stand where you won't kill yourself. This will not stop happening. Will not. Not unless Harbor Freight decides to go to an American company and have their products built well. I know, me personally, I can't trust them. We get under too many vehicles, too many heavy vehicles, and I don't want to lose my life. I don't know about you. Thank y'all very much for coming along with us today. We're going to have a 45-minute long video detailing the difference between these 3 stands going into welds and metallurgy and the way that the pawls work. It's going to be part of our Tool Room Confessions series. If y'all don't mind, y'all go ahead and head to usjack.com and buy you some of these stands. It helps support us. You're supporting a veteran-owned company, products made in the United States of America. I really appreciate you watching the video, and as usual, God bless. We love you. Peace.